But I don't know if you can do what they're trying to do, where it would work, and where it could protect freedom, because you don't have the freedom of where you can live where you want to live, and work where you want to work. It seems like it takes away some freedom to be able to accomplish what they want to accomplish.
I don't understand the question. What do you mean by conserving open space?
So open space is sort of defined as anything that it does not currently have development on it. So it would be defined as agricultural areas or natural areas that don't have urban development on them, either industrial, commercial, or housing.
Are you talking about government open space, or are you talking about private open space? People's private property, like eminent domain?
It's both. If in the case of agricultural land, that would be typically held in private hands. And so what happens with development is over time, certainly over the course of several decades, farms get turned into suburban housing and so forth on a regular basis. And so it would be, to what extent are we conserving open spaces, whether it's agricultural areas or natural areas in the Bay Area?
So it's private as long as it's not developed. Like when we're talking about you saying like farms then being developed into urban housing.
That's right.
Using this as a high priority would be maybe you want to keep them from even doing that.
That's right.
Okay, like the government stepping in and keeping them from doing that. Okay.
Exactly.
You want the government to set a priority of controlling how people use their property? Is that what you're saying? Is this what this is all about? That's what this question is about.
So the question was, are we expecting the government to set a priority about conserving open space?
About how people use their personal property. So if somebody owns the property, then we're saying that we're voting for the government to be able to take over this person's property.
Right.
Is that what this is all about?
Can I make a point here? I mean, there's other ways to conserve open space that don't have anything to do with government, and that's what we may get into. But conserving open space also means that, maybe there's a local initiative that, well, I guess that is a government action if it's an initiative.
Is the government controlling your property?
When we talk about future scenarios, we are cognizant of the fact that there's trade-offs that we need to make, exactly like the trade-offs you're talking about. If we all live in big houses with big yards, then we're not going to be close to access to transit and so forth. Yes, there are trade-offs associated with it. We want to be as informed as possible with what kind of trade-offs would you be interested in making moving forward.
The moral authority of even asking the question.
Thank you.
Where are the property owners in this process? Are there representatives here, property owners?
Sure.
Yeah.
We're very much hoping to engage the property owners in this conversation. That's why we're taking these questions out to the community.
I'm a property owner. You have engaged them. Right. I'm a property owner, and it's so hard to make these choices. I want a small house and a big yard. I want to save school, but I have to drive my kids to school. I mean, it's very interesting. I'm concerned about the data that you're collecting under the auspices of keep it general, because it's not about, your data is not about being specific, and it's about specifics.
It's very true that we haven't got the resolution of the sophistication of the questions such that every person would find the perfect option here tonight. What we're trying to do is we're trying to entice you to have conversations with folks at your table about the choices that you would make and the options that we might consider moving forward. These are some pretty basic buckets to put our choices in to entice a conversation about what if. And so the kind of conversations that you're starting here this morning are exactly the kind of conversations that we need to have on the table as early in this planning process as possible. This is meant to entice exactly this kind of debate and conversation. So those kind of questions that you're asking are exactly what we're here to do.
We need an input on what the jobs are, because I work where the job is as close as possible. So we need a lot of input from the business people that create jobs. Where the jobs are, that's where most of the people centralized are. So I mean, this input from us is a bunch of hogwash.
So the question is, we need input from the business community, and we could not agree more. It's very important for us to not only understand where housing is, but also where jobs are.
Well, that's most important.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but I live where I can afford a house, and I can't afford a house in San Francisco where the job is, so I've got to move, farther out. where housing is affordable.
Right. So we're talking about the affordability of housing as well, and of course, the more we constrain development, the more lower property values and so forth get propagated.
So wait, lower supply is lower costs?
Excuse me, I'm a realtor, and I have a problem with us telling people that they can't build on their own property. That is a problem. It's private property. It's part of that's part of our constitutional values for people to have and be able to do whatever they want with their own private property. And for us to sit here and say they can't use their own property and you're calling it open space is somebody's private property. I have a really big problem with that.
Right. So the comment is.
I wouldn't want someone to tell me when I buy a piece of property that I can't build on it.
Right. So the comment is, how can we tell people that own a piece of land? That own a property that we can't build on it or we are going to build on it? How can we make those decisions? And that's really one of the toughest things about regional planning is that we have a whole group of people here who may or may not want to be conserving open space and essentially meaning that...
Property rights. I mean, I have a home and I wouldn't want somebody to rezone it. We were just talking about that here. I don't want my house rezoned. I found a house, I fixed it up myself, and I landscaped it. I did everything to make my house beautiful and a beautiful home for my family. And I would be disgusted if I put that much effort into an old house to redevelop it, and then somebody come and tell me, well, we've decided that this is going to be something else. That would make me very sad.
Right. And I think these points that you're making are critical because it's about the...
I have a great neighborhood with wonderful families, and we've all done a great job of planning it ourselves and refixing it up and doing things for it. So I'm getting here really concerned about it.
Hi, folks. I'm Joanna Bullock with the Association of Bay Area Governments. Can I just...
Agencies do not create jobs, okay? Remember that. Jobs are important.
Yes, they do. This is a visioning process. I'll wait until you're done.
Is the end result that if more people vote for like that kind of house than her kind, then it wouldn't matter that it's like a majority rules, like a democracy thing? I'm just asking if the end result of all this data is if more people want that than like her house, would the end result be eventually that she just gets outvoted and for real? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to take this back up to the 30,000-foot view because that's where we are. We're in a visioning process. We are regional agencies, ABAG and MTC. We look at this, we look at the 9 Bay Area counties as a region.
I mean, I don't even understand what's achievable, so I'm just trying to come here to learn.
Madam Speaker, if you start at the 30,000-foot level with a vision, and it's not grounded in realities at the bottom, then you're going to end up with answers to your questions that create a false vision that can never be implemented.
Yes.
We want to feel, this was not designed to field all your questions. It wasn't. And for that, I will...
You're asking us to vote on things that we don't agree with.
Then don't vote on them.
Based on stuff that we don't agree with.
Then you have the prerogative not to vote on them. But this is...
It doesn't count, that I don't have a voice. It's the options you're giving us.
It isn't.
I don't want to hear
the case that you don't have a voice.
You're not giving us a choice to say we don't like any of them.
But you know, we've been working on this for about 6 to 7 months, and we don't have the prerogative at this moment in time of changing this to suit.
You've been working on it 6 or 7 months, and you've got a 30,000-foot view, and you want us to vote on something that we don't have enough information.
You know, if you feel like this process is not helpful for you, then please write that down on your comment form and tell us what would be. But what I'm saying to you is this is a very packed morning, and we don't have time to field all the questions. We have time to get through this process.
You asked for public input, and we're giving you public input, okay? That's what we came here for.
Can I make a suggestion?
Certainly.
Why don't you just go through your
I
slides,
didn't know you couldn't build on
not
property.
continue to vote? Because some of these questions are loaded in that, for instance, I would say not export your homes and keep homes here, 1 or 2. The combination of the 2 is probably realistic. We don't have time to finish this anyway, voting. Why don't you go through it, show us the type of things that you want, and to another meeting at some time where we can vote. Because it's obvious we're not going, if we have to vote, it's too disruptive at the moment to do this.
I would concur with that.
Yeah.
I don't think it's honest. I think they're actually presenting options that they already are limited to, or they want you to be limited to. And so they want to make you believe that it's your idea, that you had an input and that you came up with this stuff. And so then they use that report back or whatever they're doing as evidence that yes, this has a groundswell of approval, or we're not going to have many problems, or blah, blah, blah. So I think we put a wrench in that operation.